All right, everyone. So Kevin Nash did not hold back on his thoughts on Becky Lynch's current run in WWE. And so we're going to read this is from ewrestlingnews.co. This is just the headline, but we're going to give the full quote for context. Kevin Nash and Becky Lynch. I think her run's over. I think she's grasping at desperation. So this was obviously after the promo she gave, which was criticized by Ozzy Osbourne's daughter, Kelly Osbourne. We did a video on that. You can go back and watch that one as well. But just to give, before we get into what he said, a quick kind of summation of my thoughts on it. You know, I really feel that Becky Lynch, with what she said, she was clearly not taking a shot at Ozzy Osbourne or making light of his passing or any of that. She was trying to take a shot at, get heat in the city, right? Which is something that all wrestlers do. With that being said, I also said, look, when somebody passes away and you have the daughter of, this person kind of say, look, I didn't really love that. It's not something where you have to take a firm stand of like, oh, why do you care? Somebody died, somebody passed away. Have empathy, for that person, and I can understand why it would be upsetting. So it's one of those things where I get kind of both sides, right? Why Kelly Osbourne upset, and I also don't think Becky Lynch is bad and meant to cause any harm, right? This is something that happens in every city that they go to where they try to draw heat, and they tried in this case, and it certainly ended up being controversial. But Kevin Nash, he gave a long take on it, so we're going to read this. Speaking on his Click This podcast with co host Sean Oliver, Kevin Nash did not hold back in his take on the situation. He was critical of Lynch's promo, viewing it as a side of creative desperation. I think her run's over. I think she's grasping at desperation. I think the business has passed her by. Nash said when asked whether the promo crossed the line. I don't think she said anything that was derogatory to Ozzy. So before we keep reading, this to me is almost contradictory because that's the whole point is that I agree. She did not say anything that was derogatory to Ozzy. And so because of that, that's the whole point is that's the most normal heel promo of all time. There's nothing desperate about taking a shot at a city as while you're a heel. John Cena was just doing this a few weeks ago before he made his baby face, he came back to be a baby face. Like he was going to cities and he was attacking the people. That's the most normal thing in the world. So I agree with Kevin Nash that I don't think she said anything that was derogatory to Ozzy. At the same point, it's like, then that doesn't really, then I just don't understand what this means, right? Nash also analyzed the promo from a business perspective. He stated that he doesn't believe that kind of cheap heat is good for the WWE brand, especially when it involves a recently deceased and beloved public figure. I don't see how they always say, oh, any kind of publicity is good publicity. I don't know, man. I mean, when somebody passes and you fuck with the family and the daughter is the one that makes the comment, I don't think that's exactly the look that WWE or its shareholders, which I'm one of, I'm a TKO shareholder, I don't think particularly want that coming out of somebody's mouth as a shareholder. But we just talked about it up here that even Nash is saying that he doesn't think that she was doing that. And once again, I completely agree with what's being said here, right? TKO isn't happy about this. I don't think anybody within WWE is happy about it. In fact, we read an article that they were embarrassed over this. But we know the intention wasn't that. And by the way, when I heard the promo live, I would have never in a million years thought that this would have been what came of it. But I understand, okay, when you have, as he says, right, when you have the daughter that comes out and makes the comment, it's like, oh, okay, that carries weight, right? You have empathy for it. It's such a tragic event and all of that. So you have empathy for it. And maybe in the future we go, okay, we're going to just anytime, something like this happens, we're not even going to get close to it, right? If that's the line, I'm going to be way over here. But I just don't, I just, it would be different if it was like a clear, like, yeah, this is why she did it, right? I think she was just giving a pretty normal promo, and he agrees with it up here. I mean, he says that. It should be noted that the promo by Lynch was likely approved by people backstage at WWE, and her words were meant to heal on the city and not Ozzy himself. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's obvious, right? Lynch, okay, so I think that's basically it. Okay, so you could see here's the name of the podcast. You could watch his full comments. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to do this video one because I was so stunned by just how upfront it is. And look, I have no problem with people being, saying how they feel. I think that's good. But I just think it's pretty clear that she didn't mean it in the way that it was taken. And so, and by the way, I just want to re up again this little note here is that for all the people that may claim like this is a Becky Lynch thing, this was definitely okayed by WWE. It was definitely okayed by WWE. So the leak machine that, oh yeah, WWE's embarrassed by it and maybe the distancing themselves from it. Come on. We know what this was. And I have no problem, I don't think they've apologized or anything yet. There was talks that maybe they would, but at the end of the day, you just use this as a learning experience to say, okay, here's the line. We ain't gonna go anywhere near those with that line when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I just don't, to me, Becky Lynch, since she's come back, I mean, even in her most recent match on pay-per-view, right? Or the PLE Clash in Paris, the fans were actually, even though she's a heel, the fans were behind her during her match. Now I know there was some I loved what happened at the end of the pay-per-view, but I know some people didn't think that was a great surprise and they didn't love it. And fine, right? We could talk about whether that was good or not. But during her match, it just seemed to me like they were behind her, right? It seems to me like the few rivalries she's had so far, people have been, certainly behind her. Now, there have been, moments, especially in like with her or with Lyra and Bailey and all that, where, it was like kind of a weird, the matches just didn't seem to have the same hit as the storylines have actually felt really good and well built out. And maybe the audience reaction to those matches, even though they seemed pretty good to me, wasn't what you would expect. So I get that end of it, but to me, Becky Lynch, I think she's doing fine as the champion right now. I just don't see the kind of desperation angle of it. And certainly, I don't think she meant, how this may be taken. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.